G'day, g'day. Once again, beautiful people. It's lovely to see you here on your Monday afternoon, evening, Tuesday, lunchtime, Sunday morning. I don't know. I'm not good at times. Today it's the 2nd of September. I figured I should start keeping track of the date. Otherwise, we'll get completely lost and confused. And it's wonderful to have you here again. I'm sorry that it took me a little bit longer than usual to get in. I was literally about to start, and then I realized I didn't have a drink. And if there is one thing that I cannot possibly do, it's anything while sober. So I just had to run and get myself this. Now, we've got a little bit to talk about today. We've got a few different things, but Dad Hammer, good to see you, mate. You big snack, you budtastic guy. G'day, you gorgeous gentleman. Svether, let's chat about Slaanesh being perfectly reasonable. That is a conversation that we're going to be having. Very excited to have that conversation as well. Today I will be joined by two guests from the past, being the Rage of Sigmar gentlemen. Now, because of the way the world works, we're not all on the same time zone. I know that might confuse some people. It's all right. It confused me. But we will be having a chat to them in the past. Now, last time we traveled through times, things came back a little bit dodgy. Everything's going to be fine this time. I'm sure we're all good. Now just bear with me as I do put my little cocktail here together. A little bit of bitters there. We obviously need a touch of agave syrup as well, because now that I'm not in Australia, apparently I get to sweeten my cocktails with agave, which is just, that's a lovely way to do it. Nice, sweet, beautiful, delicious. And as always, Kraken rum. Kraken, if you ever want to send me rum, like some kind of sponsorship or something, I got you. That'd be lovely. Having a little, just a little titter there, a little drinkity drink. Cool Bunny, been subscribed for 5 months. We're 4 months off of our very first hobby, baby. I'm very excited. I'm starting to swell with hobby pride and also with hobby pregnancy, which is a wonderful way to be. I believe you may be playing a game right now, V, which is awesome. The Holy Tyrant from the Pacific Northwest. G'day, Nemesis. Good to see you as well, Da. Sorry, we're just going to stir for a moment just to get this in the right alcoholic place, because as always, there's nothing happening while I'm sober. It's just not the way to be. And in fact, I drank an entire blender of cocktail while I was talking to the Rage of Sigmar boys. So you'll see that in a little bit of time. Now, send nudes today, which we are going to start with, because we always start with everybody's favorite segment, is going to be a little bit different. So first of all, I got sent a couple of memes this week, and I thought, fuck it, let's just do a couple of memes. Now, one of them I'm going to present to you, my lovely, lovely viewers, and one of them I presented to the Rage of Sigmar boys to review. So we're going to do that a little bit differently. It looks like everybody's tuning in. Nemesis says, are you mid-game? Is that it? Are you tuning in while rolling dice? Because that'd be fucking cool. That'd be like rad. Yelling at people while they're playing games. Cool Bunny in the chat is a Slaanesh player, so we will have a chat about Slaanesh in a little bit, and how everything's fine. How everything's fine because the playtest has told us it is, and so for that reason it must be. But yeah, it's coming together lovely. So let's just super quickly, before we move on, very quick, very important, very fucking badass, and that is the news that Gotrek is up for pre-order in about a week. This is just the best news that we've heard in a long time. Now, it's not the Cities of Sigmar book, which I won't lie, I'm really fucking starting to get a bit frustrated waiting for, because they previewed it and they dangled that carrot in front of my fucking nose, and I have not had it back yet. That does put a little bit of hatred in that vein. I got these two veins about here in my forehead that become more pronounced when I get frustrated, and they become very pronounced whenever I'm thinking about Cities of Sigmar. However, Gotrek tides me over, and if I had to choose between Gotrek and a new Gotrek novel and a new Gotrek audiobook or Cities of Sigmar, it is a tough call, and I fucking loved both the Gotrek audiobook, Realmslayer. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's fucking badass. And I also absolutely loved the little short story, The Bone Desert. Fun name, The Bone Desert. Like, do you want to go for a big old dry walk through the Bone Desert? No lube to be found unless it's floating in little bubbles in the sky, which is a reference only for people who've read it. But yeah, they're awesome, and so I'm keen to see how he operates. I guess, to you, ladies and gents in the chat, what are you excited to see anything from Gotrek? I'm excited to see if they stick around with the fact that he cut off Thanquol's hand during the end times, but still didn't know who Thanquol was. Like, Thanquol is like this arch nemesis who despises Gotrek and Felix for the fact that they've spoiled every single one of his plans, and yet Gotrek didn't even really know that he was there ever, which was even more offensive, I believe. But yeah, Cool Bunnies liking the dead Skaven on the base. Yes, I hope there's just one severed hand. That'd be awesome. Holy Tyrant thing, if they brought back more dwarf characters like Gotrek and Dispossessed stuff, you'd be there in a heartbeat. I'd also like to see maybe some fresh Dispossessed characters as well. I'd like to see where they've gone in the transition to the Mortal Realm. Lugnuts Demad coming in loud in all caps as always, and it's beautiful to have you here, you snack. Ossiarch Bone Reapers, new name the Bone Daddies. Yeah, I'm liking that. Or just like the DP Bones, because there's bones coming from everywhere and they've got multiple personalities. Holy Tyrant got on the boat too late for dwarves. But Realm of Metal Dwarden, yeah, badass. That's where mine come from because it's good. But yeah, Lugnuts, I am also pretty stoked that there is finally a tough Fire Slayer model, or at least something that Fire Slayer players can use as a tough model. Because let's be honest, there is none as badass as Gotrek. And I also like that the big ass axe that he's carrying around is like this massive, super powered relic of the Fire Slayers that he doesn't really consider to be anywhere near as good a quality as his own axe. That's just great for me. He's like, oh yeah, this is all right, but yeah, nah, I'm gonna get my old one. And then they're like, but that's our most mighty axe. He's like, this is the best you could do. There. All right, sure. So I'm kind of keen. I just want him to also insult everything. And there's a great scene that I will always talk about. It's my favorite in Realm Slayer, where he literally gets drunk, is on the battlements of a city that's under siege when he's in Hammerhall, and just grabs a Stormcast by the chest plate, pulls him down, and yells into his armor looking for Felix, because he assumes that that's the best way to find him. So yeah, it's a good audiobook. Lugnuts Demad in the chat, you've listened to it. It's a fucking stellar one, up to the point where he yells at a God Beast's kid until it's just like, yeah, I don't want that, and then he convinces a God Beast to eat him because that's what he wants. Like Nagash tamed that God Beast but couldn't kill it, and Gotrek is like, fucking eat me, let's do this. It's awesome, it's great. Everyone go and listen to it, because that way they'll make more Gotrek stuff, and that makes me super, super happy in a very, very special way. That was just a very quick thing to touch on. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will do as we always do at the start of everyone. The favorite segment, Send Nudes, nice, unique drawings everyone scribbled, though this time it's like Send Nooms, nice, unique memes everyone sent. I don't know. Anyway, we've got a couple of them. One you're going to get right now. One you're going to get a little bit later when we chat to the Rage of Sigmar boys. And this one I was made aware of by Rob. Oh, Tomb King Tristan, g'day mate. New Gotrek book coming soon, Ghoul Slayer, which is necessary. Let's be honest, the Flesh Eater courts have been fucking shit mixing. What we need though is Slanesh Slayer. We need Gotrek to take that gigantic axe and put it in every Keeper of Secrets that he can find, so that maybe they stop fucking up all of the meta. Dadhammer, 10 months. We've had one hobby baby. We didn't even pause before we started on our next hobby baby, and that's the good thing right now. Tomb King Tristan wanting to send in a late nude. Look, if you want, like, yes, you can, and I'll try to pull it in. But worst case scenario, it'll be next week. That's the worst case scenario. Captain Fastside dropping in, saying hello, and also saying that we should duck Slanesh, and I agree. When Slanesh comes for us, we should all duck, because those Keeper of Secrets are tall, they got big spindly limbs, and obviously they start the slash quite wide out. So if you were to get into a fight with one, ducking Slanesh would be the most convenient way to dodge them, unless you're saying fuck Slanesh, in which case I also support that. Yes, fuck Slanesh, right in its many orifices, as this is. Tomb King Tristan saying it takes 10 months to gestate a child. Well, we were a month more efficient then. We got it out a little bit quicker. So Daka Daka Flame saying, I want the series to scale down this time. I don't have the fight. Yeah, Daka Daka Flame suggesting that Gotrek goes the other way. Previously, we were like Troll Slayer, Skaven Slayer, vampire slayer, giant slayer, and a dragon slayer, demon slayer, and then like god slayer or something. Now we've started at realm slayer, and hopefully we're working our way back down. And I will say the thing that I loved the most about Gotrek and Felix was that it's kind of the same reason I love the Eisenhorn books in 40k, is that they were quite small in a lot of regards. Like there might be a siege going on, but the fucking battle that they would be fighting would be in some sewers or over a pub that they're trying to protect from a bunch of rowdy patrons. Or this one time where they were like walking between towns and some weird shit happened, and then they were like, fuck, we lost our carriage, now we're going to have to keep walking. And at the end of it, they'd seen all this fucked up shit and like human sacrifice and whatnot. But the thing that disappointed them was that they were going to have to walk to the next town in the rain. Like that shit for me was really cool. It wasn't like the world will end if you don't do it. It's just like, nah, we would really like to get drunk and not sleep in a ditch. That was like their shtick, and I also loved it. Felix, yeah, I know Dad Hammer. He's got a lovely new elf partner, and I kind of dig that because I know that secretly he hates it. But it's cool. I like the way they did it as well. Like Gotrek had to be a bit new for everything. Oh, Mr. Gammy in the chat. Also, happy birthday, you gorgeous snack. For I think it's yesterday my time, but it might be 2 days ago your time. Happy birthday for whenever that was. You big, tall, delicious hunk of man meat. I just hope that you abandon all of your duties in life and come visit. Just come over to Canada. I got a spare place for you. You can come and have a little crash. Yes, the elf is Malineth. And Malineth is only following Gotrek to keep the rune that's in Gotrek's like fucking body from falling into enemy hands. It's great. It's so good. Such a messy fucking storyline. It's awesome. Mr. Gammy, we're actually going to be talking about results from an event that you went to in just a moment. But first, the nude for today, and we'll the chat. You can score this, and we'll score it out of. We'll score it out of rammed souls. So like out of the number of souls that can be rammed into something. Now I don't know who was responsible for this. It was sent to me by a bloke named Rob, who is a fucking legend. And I'll just let it speak for itself, but it also does mean that you're probably going to have a song stuck in your head and your heart for the next little while. And it's obviously building off the fantastic craze that was the Pen Pineapple song. And it's saying that I have a warrior, being a Necron warrior, and I've got another warrior, being a Tyranid warrior. Ossiarch Bone Reaper, the fucking multi-headed, four-limbed motherfuckers. And to be honest, I didn't realize until I saw this that it is literally that. Like, those Bone Reapers are just like a slightly Necron version of a Tyranid warrior. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, I gotta say, like it sits there. It reminds me, it's poignant, and I think that it tells a story. It tells a story of both the pen, the pineapple, the Necron, and the Tyranid coming together to become something in Age of Sigmar. And I have to say that I'm glad. I'm glad that we live in this world. And the future nude will be like from the Rage of Sigmar guys when we go to the past to interview them in the future. But stream, out of crammed souls, how many crammed souls do we think this one is worth? Tomb King Tristan is saying that you love the totally cool and good not Tomb Kings. And you can't believe it's not Tomb Kings. It's like, I can't believe it's not butter, but it probably worships Nagash and 100% kneels, which is it. Apparently, Mrs. Feather saying that Pete Foley said at Nova that they were based off the Morghast Archive, which I can totally see in like their interlocking armor plates and the ridges and the bone structure and style. But you think it's a gene stealer. And I will say that some of the like bone-shaped stuff does look very carapace-like. And I think that was probably one of the hardest things. I imagine the designers were pushing shit uphill trying to make that work. That wouldn't have been an easy one. But before we get on to our little interview with the Rage of Sigmar boys, where we're talking about a few different bits and pieces, I just quickly would love to jump onto some results. And now, some of you may have seen that I will be covering. There is a scandal. There is a scandal pending that I discovered. I want to say I dug deep. I did the research. I watched a good bit of an 80s movie. And to do that, I have discovered that there is a big scandal with the Bone Reapers. But that'll be after our interview. That's going to be at the end of the show, is the scandal, because I know that some people want the results, they want the information, they want the segment that I'm doing with Rage of Sigma on how not to be a fucking shitto at an event. So we will get to that very, very quickly. But just before we do that, there are some results that we got to look at here. Now, Mr. Gammy, if you are still in the chat, I am going to apologize and say that I'm very, very sorry. You just didn't make it onto the recent results board for Brizhammer. I think you were 11th or 12th or something around there, 14th, not sure. But first of all, the Nova Grand Champs, just shy of 100 players there, and Slanesh coming in first. Yep. The thing that I do like seeing there, though, is you've also got Tzeentch, Khorne, and Nurgle, which is wicked to see, like, the all four, the Tetrarchy, the Quadrarchy, I don't know. I don't fucking know what 4 is. But awesome seeing all 4 getting up there, which was just, it's cool. It's nice to see Tzeentch getting in twice, because Tzeentch we haven't seen much of for a while, since that period where they were fucking broken and awful to play against. So I'm digging seeing Tzeentch coming in there. Daughters of Cain still representing quite strong, because of course they fucking are. Skaven up there because they're real good. I've got to say, I think when Nurgle, Khorne, or Tzeentch do well, it's probably because they also had to play out their arse a fair bit to do it. Yeah, Cool Bunny stoked that Slanesh took out first, which is not particularly surprising, because I have a feeling that LLV's been tracking it with a number of Slanesh players, and at the moment the average summoning per game is around 1,300 points, which means if you play against a Slanesh player, by the end of the game the odds are they played with 2/3 more points than you, which is just fucking crazy. So they were just shitting all over it. Mr. Gammy, 10 points from getting best destruction. So, and that's with your Blown Splitters, right? So when you get your new book, out, you're going to be in the fucking happy place, right? Where are we saying? Okay, right. We're saying that souls. About this shitty insane clown posse. Where there's a lot of caps in the chat, and I left the chat for 30 seconds, and there's a lot of anger, and I understand. We've got anger in our souls, we've got anger in our hearts. But that's okay. We can get past. With Lugnut saying they're just Stormcast, but Death. I kind of dig as well that Nagash didn't have access to the best souls because Sigmar took those. I think it was Dar was telling me this, or potentially Miguel. They didn't have access to the best souls, so Nagash was like, well, fuck it. If I can't have the best, I'll just take 4 pretty good souls and put them in one body, thereby making them better, which I think is good. It's just like multiple personalities except in violence. So it's kind of looking good that Slanesh is pretty much just top of the pops. And yeah, I gotta say, like, Tzeentch doing well there. That's nice to see. I'm glad to see a bit of difference. I mean, I would have liked to see maybe a couple of other in the top 10, given that it's mostly the same people that we always see up there. But that's cool. And to be honest, in a 100-player tournament, I'm stoked to only see Slanesh once in the top 10. That's pretty fucking good. Which I'm guessing means that there may have been a little bit of shooting or hatred to cop him out there. Now, Brizhammer, close to my heart, played there a couple of times before I left Australia. Taken out by the Deepkin. Second place went to Skaven. Third in Tzeentch, and then fourth and fifth Slanesh. We're definitely, it's interesting because we're not technically in the reign of chaos, but when you think about it, after Flesh Eater Courts and Daughters of Cain, the rise of Slanesh, Tzeentch is starting to see a little bit more Tzeentch. Khorne's quite strong. Nurgle's a bit surprising when you see it come in the top, but it's getting up there. Chaos is definitely I would say the strongest allegiance at the moment, followed probably by Death. So it was Luke McFadden with the Deepkin, I believe, in first. Second place, the Skaven player also got favorite opponent, which I think is fucking awesome because Skaven have a lot of like negative play experiences and a lot of things that basically just fuck you up before you have a chance to do anything to them. So I think for a Skaven player to also get best opponent goes to show that it's someone who is probably not only shit mixing his opponents, but also treating them with respect. And you know what? I don't mind if you push a gorilla finger into my bumhole, but gently stroke my hair while I'm doing it so that I know that you still care. But yeah, it's fucking rad to see. Looks like it came out really well. I wish I was at the event. But again, Slanesh just fucking getting in there. 4th and 5th. So it does go to show that where Flesh Eater Courts were fucked, they kind of they're still strong, but they've been tamed a little bit by the FAQs, which was good. They needed that. We're now seeing a little bit of a change, I guess, because Slanesh really didn't cop much of an edit, and they are just shitting everyone. So yeah, Nova GT was unreal with the Slanesh players. Okay, right. Again, interesting seeing that the Slanesh has only taken top of the pops, first place, but they still took first place, which is all that fucking matters. So I would say that there is a secret to beating Slanesh. I think I've figured it out, the way to do it every single time. Now, it's not what you think, and because it's always fun to be a prick tease, I'm going to reveal it at the very end, along with the scandal about the new death. However, before we get to that, before we do that, we do have an interview with the Rage of Sigmar guys. Now, what I just want to say quickly is that the video freezes for about the first 30 seconds, so don't freak out. It will get to it. We talk about a lot of stuff. I won't lie, get sidetracked a little bit. That just happens. It's unavoidable sometimes. But yeah, the video will freeze for the first little bit. Don't worry, you'll still hear all of our voices. And this is we're going to go into the past. We're going to jump in our DeLorean, go into the past. Those who remember the last time we went into the past, there was a little hiccup coming back out of it. But I have been guaranteed that everything's set up and there should be no little time skips or time hops or anything like that, because it's murder on the skin. It ages you. It really, really does. And I don't particularly want to go to the future again. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, from only a few hours ago, a few hours removed, the Rage of Sigmar with Jacob and Joe. And future Dan, if you wouldn't mind taking it away, past Dan. Yeah, let's go past Dan. That's where we're going. Sorry, not future Dan. Future Dan can suck an egg. All right, past Dan, over to you. G'day, beautiful people. Welcome to the past, because technically we're recording this a little bit ago. I'm joined by two gorgeous snacks. And before we even start, we should probably, I know you're both very, very thirsty, so we probably need to start with a drink. We got a couple of beers, and I am drinking a pina colada.
With the metal straw.
With a metal straw, because I'm a classy bitch.
Sea turtles are going to thank you.
Pina colada. Now, ladies and gentlemen at home, what you may notice during this pre-recorded interview is that it keeps randomly resizing these two beautiful gentlemen's image inputs. So randomly they might be there, then they might be gone, they might be switched, they might be even bigger. I can't seem to control it.
Unlikely.
So whatever happens, we're just going to go with it. Sometimes you'll see faces and sometimes you'll get weird black screen shit, and that's okay. But gentlemen, how are we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, look, I'm okay. It's been a lovely little week here, though everybody keeps telling me that it's like today is kind of the turning point where the weather goes to shit. And so I'm like, yeah, this is where I die from now on, because I haven't done a Canadian winter yet. And fuck off everyone who's like, Vancouver, you might find is pretty temperate. It's not too bad. I'm like, fuck you. My winters are 20 degrees. So whatever the fuck it's going to be here.
Hold on. And when you say 20, you mean 70?
20 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's 70. No, I think so. Most of Canada's winter is equivalent to Australian summer.
Yeah.
So it's like the polar opposite of that. So you're actually probably in the best place to be as far as winter goes, but it's still probably going to get freezing.
Yeah, I'm literally going to like cut open a Tauntaun and live inside of it for quite a while. That's my plan.
See, I know that those are real things where you come from, but that's not a thing in North America.
Wait, you guys don't have Tauntauns like from Star Wars?
No.
Fuck, no, they were just straight up ripped from Australian culture. That's where they came from.
Right, I know. I know, appropriating ass.
Yeah, right.
George Lucas.
So George Lucas just appropriated all of Australia's animals for every world in the Star Wars universe. What about you, Joe? How you doing?
Oh, I guess I'm good, even though I wasn't invited.
Yeah, so for those who weren't aware, we tried to cut him out, but just like a bad rash, the cream didn't work.
He's back.
And he's back again. But yeah, you're doing decent after the event last week.
Yeah, I guess I'm alright.
you get there.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I was gonna act like a dick.
I was like, I just want to love you. I just want you to love me. But yeah, so you're feeling chipper, ship shape, lively.
Yeah, I got back to New York on Saturday.
Oh yeah, tidy.
And then,
What was the trip like? Because I fucking know nothing of the geography.
So we drove from the New York City to Roanoke, Virginia on our way down, which is like 8.5 hours.
Fuck.
Then we drove 7 hours to Nashville. I mean, it's a little longer because I was traveling with my wife and my 1-year-old. So, but then on the way back, we drove to Asheville, which was like 5 hours, and then from Asheville to Virginia Beach was like 7,
Okay, right.
and then Virginia Beach. So it was like shorter on the way back. But we spent a couple days in Ocean City, Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Which we did not. No, not really. Most people.
Ocean City
sounds
lovely.
Sounds lovely, right? Yeah, but it's actually the East Coast beach destination equivalent to Old Vegas.
Oh.
Like, so it's like trashy. Like everything is super kitschy.
Yeah.
Like it looks like you're. Yeah, I don't know. I was waiting for like Ray Liotta to come out and just be like, "What are you doing?"
It sounds like there's a lot of places along like the kind of the mid coast of Australia on the east coast that sound very much like that. Like in their heyday, they were great, and then no one's done anything with them since. So they've kind of gone to shit.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's like the same thing.
Like where?
Like Melbourne?
Oh yeah, no, Melbourne. Fuck Melbourne, right? I'm sorry, I probably got some lovely people from Melbourne, but the one thing I would say about Melbourne compared to all other Australian cities, it's the only Australian city that feels the need to tell you it's the best. All the other cities are like Brisbane's like, oh yeah, we're probably not, but we've got some fucking nice beaches and real good weather. And then Sydney's like, yeah, we're just the biggest, so that's that. Canberra's like,
yeah, we got that stupid looking building with the opera house.
Yeah, mate. Like we got the opera house.
Yeah,
we got
that's stupid.
We got
Fuck
some
them.
cool shit in there. We've also like easiest to get in and out. But Melbourne is like, Melbourne's the best city, and it's like, you know that thing where it's the person that's got to tell you that they're the best probably isn't the best.
Are we talking about Sam Morgan specifically right now? Or...
yeah. I'll start some
he's
shit.
like,
pretty much.
He's like, I'm in Canberra.
Yeah,
Can't get any good coffee here.
Canberra always has to remind you that it's the capital city because otherwise there would be no reason to go to Canberra. I tell lies.
I heard
beautiful.
Canberra became capital because it was like, oh, we can't choose between Melbourne or Sydney, so we're just going to make a whole new city to make the capital,
Literally,
and they put it in the middle of the fucking desert.
in between the two, and they built. They didn't just make the city because it couldn't technically be in either state. To be fair, they built a tiny little state that is basically.
We did that. Washington D.C. is a capital too. We have this, and D.C. is a district. It's not a state. We have the same thing.
Because they were like, because it can't be somewhere. It's just got to be its own one, which is fucking great.
Yeah, which is great because that means no one in Washington D.C. gets to vote for the president.
What?
Because it's only the 50 states that get to vote. So DC has the same representation as like Puerto Rico and Guam in the presidential election.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why on all the DC license plate they say taxation without representation.
That's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so good. Somewhere there is someone full of rage, and that fills my tiny bitter heart with joy.
Yeah, that's why DC is also so fucking poor, dude. Like, it's like a lot of DC is super ghetto.
Because Congress has to approve funds because there's no state level funding.
So all the scumbags that are like, oh yeah, fucking yeah, I don't even want to get into it because I'm still waiting for Sandy Hook money. Not Sandy Hook.
Oh, jeez.
Hurricane Sandy.
That got grim real fast.
Wrong thing. It was Breezy Point. I'm sorry. The whole neighborhood drowned. But whatever. I've been drinking all day.
So for those of you who aren't aware, we are a little bit in the past, and
we are Rageous Sigmar.
We are here with the Rageous Sigmar.
Thank you for tuning
in and
good seeing you.
We're almost a little bit tempted because right now Rob and the English Age of Sigmar show is live, and we're almost tempted to see what would happen if we went live at the same time. would it crash his stream? Would we just suddenly appear and take over? I'm very tempted, and it's just a button click away.
Dude, you're about to Thanos stab the entire Honest Wargamer. Like, all I gotta do is, and it's done.
To be honest, I feel like I could maybe take Rob and potentially Speckles, but Nathan's horse. Like, I don't know what's gonna go on there. So maybe it'd be for the best if we didn't. Also, they're both lovely people, so it'd be a bit of a dick move to do that to them.
You named 3 people, and you said they're both lovely people.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Definitely talking about Speckles.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Nathan would like suit up in his his camo, get his FAL out, and bush war the fuck out of you.
Yeah, I
wake up in the middle of the night, he'd be like choking you. You stole my. I can't do his voice. You stole my farm. It's joking.
And the best thing is that if there is anyone on the Honest Wargamer who knows how to make a body disappear, I'm pretty sure it's him. So it's not a thing I would like to deal with. Anyway,
And if you told me that our conversation was going to end up with Nathan on top of me strangling me in the middle of the night, I would have thought we went a totally different direction.
Yeah.
I would have checked out my Pornhub queue.
All right, we should probably talk about. Speaking of, about some Warhammer.
Sure.
Now, gentlemen, for today, you are familiar from last week, as many people are, with Send Nudes, the old segment where people send in some drawings and whatnot. Now, for this week, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because I got sent in 2 memes, and I thought, what? Let's fucking have a meme week. We'll get it because they seem interesting. I dig them. So that's what we're doing for Nudes this week. Are you 2 gentlemen ready?
Definitely.
Well, is that how you say memes in Australian?
Memes? Yes, 2 memes. A couple of memes.
All right, I'm gonna make sure I know what's going on. That's all.
So this first one, it's not great. I'll say, but no, you know what? That's me. I don't want to put any pressure on anybody else. So I'm just gonna. It's a take on the car salesman meme where slaps the roof, you can fit so much. So it's the car salesman, and it's that one of the new bone dudes with the 4 arms that it's like, here's the souls of fucking whatever in him. And it says, this not Cities of Sigmar can fit so many fucking souls in it. So I get the feeling that maybe the creator is a bit shitty that Cities of Sigmar still hasn't come out. Which, to be fair, is something that I totally feel as well, because there's been so many things announced that it was announced before, and we still haven't fucking seen Cities of Sigmar. But yeah, so what do we think, gentlemen? It's simple, it's elegant. What are we thinking?
Can I go first?
Go.
Yep.
I think this guy needs to understand the socioeconomic impact of the current trade war that we have going on.
Yep.
Because that's why you're not getting your releases, bud. It's because you voted in politicians who couldn't do their fucking job.
Right.
That's why we got Brexit. It's why we got the fucking current trade war. So if you want your paperback books, your little bookie wookies from your Gamesy workshops, maybe you should have fucking did something about it at the local political level, all right? Stop thinking at the big picture. Look at the small picture. Get your congressman out there. I don't know if you're American or if it's English. It's like what your mail
lord.
Collector or some shit. Your landlord, whatever the fuck they are out there.
Just send Sherlock Holmes in.
If you're Australian, you got to put the paper in the local kangaroo. It hops its way.
It's actually really our elections take forever because every Australian has to wait for their kangaroo to deliver. It's a nightmare.
I heard that they only do an election in New Zealand if the prime minister wakes up and there's a kiwi in their room holding a silver fern in its beak. Otherwise, they wait for the next year, and then they do like a Groundhog's Day. But instead,
I was literally about to say
similar.
It's Groundhog Day. Kiwi elections is just Groundhog Day. When the bird comes out with the fern, they replace their leader, and until then, no.
Okay, so everyone needs to know that the reason why we're not getting our books is because those are made in China, and we're having every country's having a really hard time dealing with China right now, which is why it took so long to get Sylvaneth in. And Games Workshop was smart, which what I would do is I would just release them digital.
Yeah.
but they probably already paid for them to be made physical, and they know that if they only release them digital, people who don't usually buy the digital books will go buy them digitally and not buy the paperbacks, and they won't sell as much.
And then they've got all these ones that aren't going to sell. And I think the other thing to remember as well is that they've got, I think it's like a 2 or 3 year production cycle. So these books have probably already been designed. There's a very good chance that they're already printed. They're just locked up somewhere in China, halfway through production and delivery, or they're stuck trying to get into the country. Like I
mean, pretty soon England's not even gonna have fucking oranges. So if you're making that meme and
they can have our big one. We have one big orange, and they can just have him.
Yeah, you could have him. He's got the same haircut as your fucking prime minister.
Could we just put them both in one small, tiny island somewhere and let them run it? And then come back, like 7-Up, that documentary where they checked in with kids every 7 years. Let's just drop in every 7 years and see how the two of them have done. I think it'll either be a utopia or a war zone, and there's only one way to find out, and that's through science.
I'm for it. I'm 100% for it. Speaking of China blockading GW products, though, like, yeah, it's shitty, but I just made $400 on a Loon Curse box, so I'm pretty happy.
You motherfucker!
You piece of shit! Oh.
Oh man, I can't believe you're trolling.
More like Jew Curse.
For those who are, do you want to explain that for those who might not be aware what you're talking about?
I don't know. So some people might not have seen this, but with the Loon Curse release, a lot of it got we'll say retarded or slowed down in its delivery cycle, and they so the supply was super limited. It was like a trickle release because they would have the first set of Loon Curse boxes come out, and then like every country, retailers across the world, every country had to wait 2 or 3 months for the next Loon Curse sets to come in. And so right now the big rage on the internet is that someone was selling a Loon Curse box for I think €400 or £400 or something like that.
I posted it. It was me who tweeted about how if you're selling, this is your eBay auction, I hope you die in a fire, because it's a $150 box set. They have it up there for $400 US, but with free shipping.
Oh, so, hey, well, that's money in the bank right there, right?
So he's a democratic socialist.
Yeah, good. But also a piece of shit.
No, what a dick! What a fucking asshole! Yeah. All I need is one model from that box set.
So you have a dog in this fight, like you're invested in.
I know. I literally. I just need one Arch Revenant. I have a whole Sylvaneth army that I've had for years, and like, all I need is that Arch Revenant, and I could play it. And here I am looking on eBay, and some fucking cocksucker selling the box set for $400.
And you have to ask yourself, do I want this Arch Revenant? $400.
No, Chuck Black already told me he'd give me one at CanCon, so I could just wait until January.
Fuck yeah. All right. So actually, speaking of
Rage Sigmar podcast, sponsored by Chuck
Black.
Speaking of, gentlemen, so CanCon, did you see the pack went up yesterday?
Oh man, amazing! I'm so excited to play at CanCon. Oh. I read that pack and I was like, this is exactly the way. I love it. I think that pack is great.
I will say that.
What makes it great?
I'm also saying all this because I might need to not be able to bring my terrain, and I really want Clint to like me a
lot. Well, the one thing I will say is that, like, ever since the first one, the CanCon packs have been amazing. Like, Clint really goes out of his way to make them awesome.
Well, there's a reason why it's got 200 fucking players, dude, is because Clint does a good job. It's obvious. People vote with their wallet. They're not going to go to CanCon just because, it's going to be the biggest tournament if the pack sucks.
No one's going to go to Canberra.
Yeah, Clint puts in some serious fucking effort, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's a well-deserved outcome.
Yeah. And to be honest, Clint runs a really tight ship as well. Like, he'll, as a tournament organizer or as an events planner, if there's a question or whatever, he'll make a call and he'll stick by it. I got nothing but love for Clint and how he runs CanCon. It's an awesome event. And the only thing that I am disappointed by is that I can't get to it this year because it's at the same time as the LVO. And I figured at least once while I'm living over here, I got to go to the LVO. And so it's LVO this year, CanCon next year. But I am going to be having Clint on in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a bit of a chat and we're going to talk through it. But yeah, it's such a good pack. So are you asking what makes it a good pack? From someone who hasn't played at CanCon before, what was it about the pack that made you love it?
I like Clint's scoring system because it it's reminiscent of the 20 system that we had in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition, but also it's impossible to 20 your opponent and collude.
Yeah.
It's you get points for denying your opponent's secondary. The secondary is known. So you choose one of the secondaries, say, this is my secondary, this is what I'm going for, you know what your opponent's going for. So now, like, you actually, if you want to get the 20, you have to, like, go for the kill completely. There's, like...
You have to stop them from getting theirs, and you have to get yours.
Yes, and also, you have to conserve, like... So I find Age of Sigmar is a game that involves a lot of trading units, where in, like, Warhammer Fantasy, there was no trading unit. Like... Trading units weren't always a good thing. You had your chaff that was meant to die, but you didn't want to trade your big units. So Age of Sigmar, I trade units all the time. I'm winning. Like, if I'm playing games at the end of the game that I've won, there's times where I have like 2 models left.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a conservation like part of that pack is for scoring. So if you lose more than 1,000 points, you're not scoring points. So if you conserve more than so you have to have at least or more than 1,000 points alive at the end of the game. You're scoring points. So that means you're going to see people making different decisions on the tabletop.
And do you get a point for taking your opponent under 1,000 points?
Yeah. So like the only way you're getting a 20 is like if you smack the shit out of your opponent, you lose nothing. You delete their whole fucking army. So if you play Slanesh, you'll get 20s, and then I'm just kidding. I'm not
fucking Slanesh.
But like that's the thing and I really enjoy it. The pack's super clean, and it's got a really it's not like a pack that's just text. It's like a PDF. It's got nice inlays and shit. And
is it image searchable? Or I'm sorry, not image. I'm sorry. Is it text searchable?
I don't know, but it's really good. It's like 6-7 pages long.
Next time, Clint. Next time.
Yeah, but the thing is though that like Clint literally leaves CanCon, you can think about the months of work that go into prepping something like that. He leaves CanCon for like the 12-14 drive home, whatever the fuck is, and then on the way home he's like, I'm gonna take a break, whatever. I mean, I was messaging him after the last one. I was like, so when are you gonna start work on the next CanCon? How long are you gonna give yourself off? And he was like, already started working on it during the drive home. Like there is a very, very good reason that CanCon is the biggest Age of Sigmar singles tournament in the world. And as much as it's the community around the event and everything, it is the absolute incredible amount of work that Clint, the Heralds of War, and like his team put into making it. And I think that there is a lot of love, and you could arguably say that the reason the Australian Age of Sigmar community is where it is because of that event and the work of that. He's the godfather.
At Adepticon this year, and like I remember Alex made an announcement about there being like 194 players, and he was like, everyone kind of knows how I felt about the way Alex acted at Adepticon. He's, well, we didn't break a record this year. Well, you know what? You kind of deserve to with your attitude because Clint, yeah, it's the truth, dude. Clint puts in a massive amount of effort, and he gives a shit, and he's a fucking sweetheart of a guy. Like
two of those three things are true about Alex, though. Like don't undercut. Like he did a lot.
He puts a lot of effort in, and he what else does he do? He exists. He showed up.
But
I'm not going to change my opinion about somebody just to appease them. Like,
no, I know he's not a bad dude. He just is really bad with people.
Whatever. He's just not. He's not like the bind, torture, kill like other people in the Warhammer community.
Yeah. The other thing that I just want to put out there about, and we're here talking, and we're basically just giving a big old hobby hand job to someone who's not even here to receive it. He hears it. I saw he was doing an interview about death because he plays a lot of death with the coach.
Was this on
AoS coach?
Oh, with the coach.
And in the background of that interview are just piles of terrain, and he's been keeping people updated because every fucking week since the last CanCon, because he needs more terrain to put more boards in and take it like more than last year, he needs like more and more and more terrain. So he's just been like, It's like not only is it the pack, it's that he's constant like. I understand how he can have that much room for terrain in his house. Like it's just insane, and that is why it is deservedly the biggest in the world at the moment.
So he's 5 to 6. He's doing 5 to 6 pieces per table. So that's like 600 pieces of terrain. in his possession.
Correct.
And then
If
players
yeah.
players each bring 3.
So
then they'll have 11 to 12 pieces on every table. It's still insane to have 600 pieces of terrain stored somewhere in your house.
That's if he stays at 200 people.
that is
Yeah,
You know,
I heard.
if he goes
There's
to
a
300.
rumor it's going to 400.
a 400 bird.
Oh, I heard that rumor too.
Okay,
Although
Yeah,
I heard 475.
Make it 400.
tickets go on sale October the 1st.
I already got mine.
And
Amazing.
you got it.
It's amazing what being an amazing commentator can do for you.
Sneak in there.
One of those arts was not
Yeah, being an amazing content.
but the thing is though that like with that so tickets go on sale October the 1st, and the problem is for Age of Sigmar to get more tickets, it's out because there's not more in the venue because there's like 40k, Infinity, there's all other systems. So the faster Age of Sigmar sells tickets, the more tickets can be sold. So you are thinking about going get your ticket as soon as possible over first. I remember I was at Sydney GT, I believe it was, when tickets were on sale here, and like literally day 2, I believe they went on the tournament. About halfway through, everyone just stopped playing, went through the tournament like wildfire. It was like, CanCon tickets are up, and they're almost out. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And like everyone stopped their games at the table. Phones came out. Everyone booked
register
their tickets and then went back to their games for CanCon. And by that evening, it had sold out. Like it was like it sold out in 24 hours. They added more tickets. Those sold out in like 12 hours. They added more tickets, and those sold out just with the people on the wait list. So it's a big event, and it sells like that. Buy your tickets quick, unless you're amazing content, in which case then you may already be able to get your hands on one.
Well, you think about it, right? Like I'm going. Jacob was definitely going to go this year. He's not. He can't make it because his wife has a condition.
But doctors tell me it'll be resolved by mid-January, maybe at early February.
Wait, don't you mean mid-January / earliest February in 18 years' time?
No, we live in America, dude. They don't move out until they're like 30.
It's a life sentence.
Totally different world.
Right. So yeah. 2050, I'll make it.
It'll be 1,000.
Maybe a little bit earlier if my kid stops buying avocado toast and actually buys it home.
And as long as just don't let the kid get into Warhammer either, otherwise you'll never be able to afford the avocado toast.
No, it's cheaper in America than it is in Australia, dude.
Oh, okay, right. You're awful good. Yeah.
Avocados?
Yeah, avocados.
Yeah, they're real cheap.
They come straight from Mexico. So before we have something that I want to talk about, is the hot day. But before we do that, 2 quick things I want to ask you. The first, the Bone Men that have been announced and released and whatnot. What are our thoughts?
I give it 4 out of 4 heads on a single guy with 4 arms. The thing about it is really cool. I get that they don't look like actual skeletons, but they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So people who are bitching about that just need to pay a little more attention, right? They're supposed to be like bone magicked and melded in weird non-science but ish ways. And so people who complain like, why is there a crack in the middle of his, like, why is he wearing a mask? Why does this not look like a bone? It's like, because it's made of bone. It's not just a skeleton. The elite bone warriors that Nagash took back. They're Stormcast Eternals in bones.
I actually dig that as well. It's kind of like Nagash is like that typical Bender thing of like, yeah, well, I'll do my own thing with hookers and backpack. Then Nagash was just like, oh, well, you've got heroes that are shoved into powerful bodies. Well, I've got my own. Except there are going to be 4 of them, and I'm going to give them 4 fucking arms. Yeah, it's like the thing I've always had a problem with Superman, right? Is Superman, he feels like the kid in the playground who just kept telling you their imaginary friend was better.
Fucking white bread.
Yeah.
It's fucking white bread.
Just
dude.
like, oh yeah, well he's fast. He's fast. He's the fastest. Oh yeah, well he's the strongest.
Boring.
He
can jump over buildings in a single
which he
leap.
doesn't need to do because he can fucking fly. But if he wanted to, high jump champion. Right. He can shoot lasers from his eyes, and he's invulnerable, and he breathes cold.
And when they shoot him, and he just walks forward. And they throw the gun at him. He's so fast, he ducks under the gun.
Yeah, and then someone was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty boring. He doesn't really have a weakness." And they're like, "Oh yeah, no, glowing green space rocks. Glowing green space
Hard
rocks.
to find. Hard to find. Space limitless.
Hard to find. Also, everyone has it.
yeah, that's it.
Nobody. It's so fucking stupid that nobody ever made kryptonite tip bullets.
Yeah. But then he's faster than a fucking bullet, so how would you shoot him anyway? Like that's
Because it's a kryptonite bullet, dude. By the time he gets close enough to him, he's like, "Oh no, I can't get out of the way. I'm just a regular guy now."
Or he just jumps over a building in a single bound when the bullet
you're like,
comes in,
great,
you know?
well, there we go. But the thing for me is that they feel a little bit like that, where Nagash is just going like, oh yeah? Well, you got dudes in big armor, I got big dudes. And they've got 4 arms, and they've got more souls. So
Double great weapons.
yeah, fuck you, Stormcast, which I dig, because I definitely see Nagash as like that kid in the playground who needs his imaginary friend to be the best. So I'm about it. I love it. But yeah, your thoughts, Joe?
I think they're great because I think that for all the crying that the community has done about the deletion of Bretonnians and Tomb Kings, and then Games Workshop basically force fucked them together into a death army, and now here they are. You got your Bretonnians and your Tomb Kings back.
Yeah.
And what are you all
do you
crying
really
about?
have Bretonnians?
What?
Or are you just saying feck are Bretonnians?
No, dude. Fucking the bone rape, whatever they
The
call
knights?
bone.
The Ossiarch
Bone raiders, whatever.
Oh, they've got some knights in them.
They got and they have trebuchets.
And they even
It's
they even
done.
make a point of saying that the knights have the souls of like the most arrogant and stuck up themselves pricks as well. So like that's Bretonia right there. Death Rattler, obviously the plebs. So yeah, I reckon. Yeah, there we go.
I'm for it. I'm all for it. I honestly think that I think it's cool. I really am. If this is the way they're gonna go for the next Chaos Mortals army, like I think, like they've been really into death since Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Like Age of Sigmar, like in fantasy, it was always about like Chaos and Archaon, all this shit, and like Chaos got a lot of love, but like they've really given a shit about death.
I don't know about that, dude. I feel like Chaos and Order have gotten so much more than Death and Destruction have.
I feel like that was true of the first stuff, and now we're seeing kind of like the renaissance of death. Like there's lots of death love coming out, and I hope that in the next year what we see is that with destruction, which would be really cool.
I just think it's like a Chaos. The only thing Chaos is missing is a new Mortals line, right? Like
Yeah.
come on, like how sick would it be if you had Varanguard on foot? That'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, just like basically like
It'd be so badass.
the Spire Tyrants from Warcry. If you've seen stuff about them,
Actual fucking Chosen, like not Chosen with like, you know, like how Chosen looked back in the day, but like real Chosen.
Real Chosen.
It would be so sick.
The best of the best.
That's all they're missing.
Yeah.
And then like Destruction could use a ton of love in it. Like Gitz was an opportunity. You know what I mean? And like I think Gitz has some really awesome stuff, but the hard part with Gitz is the hobby side commitment. It's like going like we have a group chat for CanCon this year. So, but anyway, like we were talking like Nathan's in there. Yeah, you're in there. Sorry, Dan, you're not because you're not going. But we were talking about like what's good against Slanesh, and like if you put 220 goblins on the table, like. Like you can zone everything out.
Nah, dude. I think Nathan made the best point of all, which is know what's a single unit that really takes out a keeper on pretty much every try?
A keeper.
Keeper of Secrets.
But also I guess the thing with Gitz, right, is that you put 220 Gitz on the table. That's 220 not depravity points. It's like and one command point keeps them around, so you're like, yep, good, there you go.
And if you keep them close to your
but if they're
you're fine.
True.
if they're in but also like if you keep them close enough to like Skagrot, who's generating tons of command points, right? And all you need to do is keep one model of the 60 fucking guys in the unit within 12 of him because he's your general.
Yeah.
And then you just let everybody else like go out like these like conga line tendrils of fucking goblins.
Yep.
God, you really do miss 8th edition, don't you?
But yeah, no, I dig it. I'm keen to see, especially like with the ogres as well. I've got an ogre army in Australia that I think I'm going to have shipped over so I can be on top of that when they get released.
Shipped ogre?
Shipped ogre, yeah.
It's all ogre
Yeah.
now.
Oh, God. That I had forgotten that existed, and now I can't
Oh man,
forget.
Shrek is
Destruction
love.
is gonna have such a Shrek-essence.
Oh no! I don't like that you're wearing a green shirt as well for this conversation.
Every time you beat somebody with your ogre army, you have to look them in the eye and go, "It's all ogre now."
It's never ogre. All right, so Boneman.
Or every time someone's leaving a tournament, every time you just gotta yell at them, "Get out of my swamp!"
But even if I'm leaving before them. So the
Sure.
Bonemen, the Ossiarch or whatever, Bone Reapers, they get a big tick, that's kind of my vibe as well.
Two big boners.
I dig them. I think they look good. Just super quickly, Gotrek. We excited to see Gotrek hit the Mortal Realms?
Who?
What? Did you fucking what? Did you just say who when I talked about Gotrek, you piece of filth?
Hang on. Let's say it. I'm gonna say it in American. Gotrek.
Oh, Gotrek.
Oh, oh,
Gotrek.
Got wrecked, son? You got wrecked?
Where's Felix?
I don't know, but I really do hope that the search for Felix does actually continue and become a part of the story. Because I kind of dig it.
Dude, Felix is Sigmar. He's
Yeah.
all right. Real answer. I really hope Gotrek is like the biggest badass attack profile and 5 wounds and a
So he's just like, oh yeah, sweet, I'm gonna fuck you up, and then they're like, yep, just one Stormcast with a fucking long strike takes him out. Yep, fair. But I'm.
it's to be fair, he's a slayer. It's what he's always
true.
wanted.
Yeah, I dig from the love the Gotrek the audio drama Realm Slayer that they released, and I love the bit where he just gets drunk and then decides to find Felix by yelling at Stormcast, and so like grabs one, rips off its helmet, and then just shouts, being like, "Felix, I know you're in there." So I can't wait. I hope that there's some shit like that, and I hope that they keep that storyline. But yeah, I'm keen to kind of see him hit the tables as well. It'd be kind of cool.
I think the model's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, the model's amazing.
He looks badass.
Man, just imagine if all the Fire Slayers had pants. They would look that good.
Yeah, but then
all they need is pants.
that's it. You've cracked the code.
And maybe weapons that look good and heroes that don't look the same. But like otherwise, yeah.
I mean, look, heroes looking
that
at
line was like copy paste, change this one thing, copy paste, change that one thing.
It was like they found out the assignment was due the day before and was like, oh shit, lucky we have Cad.
Yeah. Or they're just like, hey man, I also have to do a Fire Slayer hero. Can I have a look at yours? Yeah, mate, just make sure you change enough of it so it doesn't look like you copied me. Yeah, alright, sweet, bro. Just like,
Oh, I had the same idea as you. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, weird. Oh, no, I do love the Fire Slayer models, but I actually reckon I figured it out. I reckon I know why Fire Slayers don't wear pants. It's so Fire Slayer players can stand and look at a whole bunch of asses running away from them whenever they play a game. That's
because they're already so used to that.
Mm-hmm. That's it. They just want to see a sea of bums. And that's that, which is fair.
They should move to San Francisco.
There it is.
Oh.
There it is.
Oh, we're on the hot button issues.
I knew that was
It was just lobbed that one over the plate way too easy underarm, I guess.
Oh man, it's not funny to make fun of homelessness.
But
It's funny to make fun of San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's the city, not the people. It's the city.
The real sea of bums was the friends we made along the way.
And the lessons that we learnt. So I guess we're here to talk about the reason to have Mark talking about this is
Abortion rights. Let's get to it.
in the Mortal Realms.
Everyone should have them.
Yes, in the Mortal Realms, everybody should be free to have whatever snake babies they want or don't want to have. But the Rage of Sigmar, talking about rage, because I think something that I notice at tournaments that I always almost immediately forget, right, is the things that really shit me off. Are you really on the
phone right now?
No, I'm listening.
Pay attention in class. The thing that like we don't talk about like what makes you rage, and like the thing is sometimes they're really little things. So like for me,
the machine
always makes you rage. Like so, for example, like and I'll throw it to you guys. For me, the thing that makes me rage is when people are apologetic when things go bad for me or good for them. And I don't mean like, you know, sometimes something shit happens
I'm sorry,
It's
dude.
like, oh man, I'm so gutted for you. Oh, that fucking sucks. Oh, blah blah. And
Oh, it sucks that you rolled two
yeah,
ones on your
and I mean,
save, but I just won the
yeah, and
game.
I mean, to some extent, I think there is a good point in commiserating with your opponent, being like, "Oh, that fucking sucks, bro." But I won't lie, I am stoked. You know, like you don't pretend that your heart is broken when something bad happens for me. That makes me rage. I'm just like,
So
Are you
I'm
sure?
really glad you asked this question because we actually had one of our good friends in the community, Slanice, who's also he may start coming on the Rage Sigmar
Cool.
show with this new segment we're going to start talking about, which is called "How to Make the Game" or "How to Make AoS More Pleasurable." Right? It's like things you do to be a good
Yep.
sport. This is the opposite of that. It's the one over this conversation, which is what are things that people do that just drives you up a fucking wall in a game.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess one for me is that it's that over apologeticness. I'm like, we are here to play War Dollies.
Ogre apologeticness.
Yeah, that's it. Ogre.
Did you realize this before you moved to Canada, or is it because that's not a place you want to live if you don't like people apologizing?
but see, I would give you a perfect example, right? V, who watches the show, and I've played her a couple of times. She regularly wins best sports. And she is very nice, and like if something bad happens, like she'll be like, "Oh, that sucks," but at the same time, she'll be like, "That sucks, but I guess your army's pretty shit anyway." So you know, like she just like gives it to you at the same time. And see that I'm like, that's great because it's like, yeah, you're commiserating with me. I feel like you're not just being like, yeah, fuck you, but at the same time, you're appreciating that it's a game, we're competing and we're having fun, or like. Yep. And for me, I was like, I can see why she gets best sports votes because it's perfectly balanced. I don't feel like you're being fake with me. I don't feel like you're being disingenuous, but I do believe that when you say like, oh, that's shit, that you actually do mean it. And so I dig it for that. And yes, I would say Canada is really polite, but at the same time, there's a difference between like being polite and just like being a simpering fucking lapdog that won't be. Because when I kill something, I'll just be. I remember killing Nagash to a really, really lucky shot and a really unlucky save roll, and then I had to roll 2d6 for the damage, and I rolled a 12, and Nagash failed every save. He only had like 10 wounds left or something and was taken off the board. And I just laughed and I pointed to him and I was like, "Take him the fuck away. Back to the pavilion, you bony sack of shit."
Take it off!
And afterwards I was chatting to my opponent and because it was a really tense moment. It was really, really tense. And I remember chatting to him, I was like, "Oh man, I just want to apologize. I'm sorry. I maybe went too far." And he was like, "Nah, fuck dude, that was great." Like it was intense. And so you should have celebrated. And I think that's the thing. When people don't celebrate those things, I'm like, fuck it. That's not fun.
It takes away the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like when you shoot off 3 keepers with shooting in like one turn and you're like, "Man, I'm so sorry this happened." No. You have 3 keepers, you motherfucker. You're getting 2 deaths right now. Just killed.
Yeah, that's it.
Instead of shouting "take it off," you just shout "put it back on" before you put it back on.
Just temporarily remove them. Fuck. Okay. All right. So that's one that annoys me. Gentlemen, who feels like going next? What is a tournament play thing, an etiquette thing that makes you rage at tournaments?
Joe, you got one?
Well, I got like 80, dude.
All right, hit us with like 2, and then I'll jump in.
All right. My number one tournament rage thing that I dislike about tournaments is people who go on the internet and cry about not getting 3rd best overall when they got 3rd place on battle because they don't fucking paint their models. You don't deserve it. If you don't get overall, it's overall. If you're a shitty fucking human being and you're a shitty fucking painter, and then you go online to fucking bitch about it because you fucking because you won a bunch of games, that's not what overall is. You're 3rd best general. Congrats, bro. That and fucking 250 get you a cup of coffee. What the fuck else do you want? Other things that make me rage are people who listen. I understand the temptation of this. But like when you allow your opponent to make
ill-informed decisions because
that's not it. I'm not going in that direction. I'm actually going for when you like if your opponent doesn't check you on something or like I don't know how to explain this right now. Hang on, let me think real quick. When someone basically lets you sweat. Like, so for me, like if I'll play something and I'll be like, oh, I kind of fucked that up. I'm not going to fix that. All right. If I let my opponent slide on that, like a couple times in a game, like, oh, I fucked this up, but oh, go ahead. And then when I say I made I forgot to cast with this guy, it's now my movement phase, but like it's detrimental to the game, and you're like, well, it's not your movement phase. Like that irks me.
Yeah.
Like,
So a lack of reciprocity around grace and like mistakes you make.
No, it's the fact that like the level of competition or the level of like how you play the game is different in turn 1 than it is in turn 5.
It's like when a TO makes a judgment call, right? And you're like, I just want you to, I don't care if it's right or wrong. I can bitch about that later, but don't flip-flop. If it's the call for me in my game, it needs to be the call across every board in the tournament. And and I agree. And I think for me as well is, because if somebody forgets something or something like that, even if it goes up into the last turn, I'm like, 100% you would have done that. Like, give it a fucking shot. But the thing I will say is, if someone wants to try something that would it's like, say they forgot to do something in the hero phase and we're in the shooting phase, and that would have changed movement. Like a good example would be a spell, right? Like, say you had a buff spell.
Yeah, but like if you're a whole phase away, that's totally different than being like, I just forgot this. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? And it's like leaving one of your characters off the table when you're deploying or something.
Right.
But yeah,
totally.
I think it cuts both ways. And yeah, I do agree that attitude where round 1, you're like totally forgiving. You're like, yeah, we're having a good time, blah, blah, blah. You get to battle round 5 where you're looking at the barrel of the wind.
No, it matters now.
No, you can't. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to go either way, but you need to be understanding of like the expectations that you're setting up.
Yeah, it's not like, it's like forgetting something that would have changed like multiple phases ago is one thing, but being like, hey, it's movement phase. I moved one model, but I forgot to cast this asshole on the other side of the board. Like, that's the kind of shit. Like, I'll let opponents. Oh, dude, I forgot. Yo, dude, everyone forgets shit, bro. We're human, you know. But like when it's like 2 phases away, I'm maybe like, hey, man, like I know that would have changed, but it would have changed your whole turn.
Exactly.
You would have maybe moved things. That's fine. But like when you're gonna let it slide in turn 1, but then suddenly when you're like the end game is near, like you shouldn't let it slide at all. Just say, hey, man, I want to play a tighter game. That's fine.
Well, and so you know, in the same vein, like I'll always tell my opponent, like, no, definitely take that back, definitely fix it. And you'll have people who will say, like, no, I don't want to, I'm not going to take back my move, and then they play that way consistently the whole time. And that's because they have the integrity, right? They have the integrity to say, like, this is me holding myself to this standard. I'm going to hold you to the same standard. Don't ask for takebacks, right? And like I can totally appreciate that, but it's when they change what their values, quote unquote, are based on how close they are to winning or losing the game.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Jim. I think my biggest pet peeve in game is when somebody has intentionally or even tacitly let a piece of information sort of slide or like not including a piece of information.
Like that character on over.
I had a really bad game against a guy at Nova last year because he, you know, I asked him a couple different things about what his army does because I'd never played against Caradron before. And he minimized the effect of some things, and he made it seem like certain units only did one thing or only had one battlefield role.
Yeah, right.
I set up according to that, and I even said, like, I'm setting these guys 24 inches away, so you're not, or like 28.5 inches away, so you're not gonna be able to hit me, right? Like when deploying, it's like, okay, right? Like I was explaining my intent, and if you explain your intent to someone, in my mind, that means that you're trying to get to be on the same page, that it's going to be a clear-cut fight. And it's going to be,
and
like,
also
honestly
that means
fun.
If you get to turn 1 and suddenly they're in range, you're like, well, one of us maybe bumped something or whatnot, but
he just didn't tell me that his guy gives run and shoot.
No.
Right? He told me about the run and charge, that what this thing confers, but not that his Skyport gives him run and shoot. So if you're
saying I'm 28 inches away, so that I'm not going to, you know, like that's the plan, and then it's like, also I have run and shoot, so you would need to be another 6 to be guaranteed safe. That is a big thing to leave out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's like a huge gotcha. I mean, people do shit like that, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But that's why I left Malifaux. I wanted to avoid those as much as possible. And Malifaux is is really a game that's ruled by the gotcha
And
moments.
I think it's a big thing about it as well is for me, if I do well at a tournament, I want it to be because I played tough players and I won my games fairly. And like Dispossessed, not many people have played them. And a lot of their rules are overlapping buffs. So like each unit just about has a buff that it gives to others and itself and whatnot. So I try to be really clear at the very start and go through everything so that I've got it down to a bit of an art where I tell everything, but I will also tell people during the game. And I think that's the big one as well, because like to give you an example, a while back now, I remember playing a Seraphon player. This was when I was relatively new to it. And they explained to me that skinks can retreat instead of fighting in combat. And it was the last turn of the game, and what it all came down to was I buffed my Dwarf Lord up to the fucking shithouse. He was an absolute goddamn beast, and he had to kill, I think, 4 skinks off of an objective. Then it'd be mine, and I would win the game. And just for shits and giggles, I had a monster, like an Unforged, all tooled up as a Monster Slayer that I charged into one of their big beasts as well. And I had forgotten that skinks could retreat. To be fair, it was explained to me before the game started, and I was like, look, obviously the Dwarf Lord versus the skinks is all that fucking matters for the end of this game. But just for shits and giggles, can we do, like, I'll do the Unforged first. And he was like, yeah, sure, like, totally let me do it. Of course, the Unforged didn't fucking hurt whatever the fuck it was fighting. And then he was like, oh man, so sorry to do this to you, but I'm going to retreat out with the skinks, which means you can't get the objective, so I win. And I was like,
it just takes
what?
all the air out of your tires when people do that.
Yeah, and
it makes it feel like the game isn't fun when it's actually the person. It has nothing to do with the game you were playing.
And it was definitely that gotcha moment where, like, and I get that everyone plays differently, but I feel like that was not a win that I would consider to be earned. You know, like I 100% think that if I was in the opposite, and I have been in the opposite thing where people are like charging me and probably winning the game off of a combat, and I'll be like, hey, just remember that
don't forget this one.
They're re-rolling saves, or like that hero's there, so if you don't want to pull him in, make sure you're 3 inches away. You know, like I'll point that out to them.
Totally. I do it a ton in movement. I'll be like, hey, those guys are more than an inch apart.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you to remove them in the battle shock phase, so you better either scooch it back or like think you're going to lose enough guys.
Yeah, and I think it's a tough one because I think sometimes it's genuine. People forget their shit or whatnot, and that is okay. Like people they have those mind things, or for me, I've been playing Dispossessed for ages. They changed the Longbeard's War Scroll slightly, and I didn't know, and it wasn't until I was playing Nathan that he was like, oh, that's actually changed a little bit, and I read it. I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I've probably been playing it wrong like for about 6 months or something, just through sheer not thinking it had changed. But there's a very distinct difference between like getting something wrong genuinely and being intentionally ambiguous with leaving shit out, which, yeah, I agree, dodgy as fuck, and it ruins the experience too, which is a shame. Yeah, so like basically just don't be a shitto should be the rule of tournament play, right?
Be less shitty to people.
Any others?
That actually leads into the other one that I think bothers me the most is when someone consistently and routinely questions you on things that either you're very confident about and you've given them sort of your word on. It's like if you're like, no, these guys are bravery 7. They're like, are you sure? And it's like, no, it's bravery. Like I'm telling you, I've looked it up. And then like they keep pushing back, like, you say, I'm moving 6 inches. Like, that's not 6 inches. Like, here, I'll measure and show you. And they keep calling on stuff.
Yeah.
To a point, like, after a certain point, I think you either take it on yourself to accept that your opponent you might not be on the same page, or you pull it up in the app, or you measure it yourself and you say, look, I'm seeing this is 4 inches. So, like, stop just questioning the person and getting under their skin and actually take the step to show where you're at instead.
Yeah. And I think that there's no shame. It's a competitive game. And in the heat of the moment, we all do get caught up in it. I definitely have before. And I've been like, I got mixed up between spellcasters being able to cast more. I was like, I thought spellcasters could only cast one endless spell. But it's not. It was that, like, because they'd cast the mirror, the fucking mirrors thing. It's not that. It's that only one can go through the mirror. I was like, I'm sure that's it. Do you mind if we just quickly look it up? We looked it up. I was like, yep, I'm a fucking potato. Sorry, bro. Like, that's just me getting confused. But it's also how you deal with it as well, right? It's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, no, you fucking can't. It was just like there's, and I think that's a big part too, right? Like if there's no, I don't care if wants to ask me or wants me to check something out, I'll happily pull up rules and things like that. But like, yeah, it's figuring out how to deal with it. I think it can be the tough one, because I've definitely had people where I was like, I am literally spending this entire game pulling up war scrolls and showing you what my army does, and we've only got 2.5 hours, bro. Like at some point, maybe like while I'm taking my turn, you can look up the war scrolls on your phone or something, just so that we're not spending our entire game basically just hand slapping each other over phones.
These dwarves aren't gonna auto run 6 to only move 3 inches on their own. I gotta start moving shit.
Yeah, that's it. I am so fucking slow in 1 wound model. If I don't start movement now, we don't get to turn 3. So we need to find a more efficient way to do this. Joe, you got anything on that one?
I was just thinking, like, the unfortunate part with AoS right now is, like, say you're playing like a low tier army, you're playing something that like easily gets like a pushed around right now.
Darkling Covens.
Right? Yeah, so you're playing Darkling Covens, but you're new to the tournament community, right? And then like what happens to you, like some people, is like when you're playing somebody. This is something Rob said about Slaanesh players. Is like a lot of people who just play Slaanesh, who are just getting into the hobby and picking up Slaanesh. What's happening to them is that they are leaning on their army so hard that they're not really learning the game right or learning what the right decision is, because some of the things in the army are so like the summoning so good or whatever it is. Like you have insurance policies, right? So you don't always need to make the right decision. So when you're playing some of those weaker armies against a top tier army, if you're playing Fex, Skaven, like sometimes you're relying on your opponent to make a mistake for you to get the win. Like you'll put yourself in a position, like I've noticed that I do that sometimes. I'll put myself in a position like, well, if this guy fucks this up, like it'll be a huge advantage to me. But at the same time, like you have to withdraw, like you have to not give information unless it's requested. And then the only time I've ever been in that situation, I was like, actually, bro, you might want to know that this can do this. Because I don't feel good about winning that way.
Right.
Yeah.
But
like,
there has definitely been times in like playing Warhammer, for every single person who's ever played Warhammer, where you think, if this dude does the wrong thing, I've got this.
I could win the game.
And I think there's a big difference between, and this is where I would almost like to say, just in case anyone hears this and thinks what we're saying is that you need to tell your opponent your battle plan. There's a very big difference between like saying leaving a bait unit out there to try and draw something in, or like putting a bunch of shit out there so that you put your opponent in a position to make mistakes. There's a difference between them making different game mistakes and between them not having the information to make their choice. So like if I put my fucking dwarf lord out there and they're like, oh, what's he like? I'm like 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, D3 damage, rend 1. And then you charge him and I'm like, oh yeah, but surprise, he's got that rune blade artifact, so he's actually rend 3. Like that's fucked. Like that. Or if I'm like, oh yeah, also he's in terrain, so he's a 3-up save and he re-rolls his saves, and he's got a 6-up DPR because I cast that prayer on him that I didn't tell you until you charged him. That's very different to me putting him out there and hoping that you don't charge him with enough, or you make a mistake, or underjudge how durable he is.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah, any last things that make you rage? And and I guess there's a whole lot of stuff that's out there that's like, this is bad tournament etiquette, and it's like, don't be a fuckhead, don't spit in your opponent's eyes, just the standard stuff that
usually you pay more for that. Yeah. I wouldn't do that unless you're getting paid for it.
But I guess there's some of these things that are things you might not realize you're doing, or that you don't really notice maybe if you're starting to get into it. But yeah, anything else?
Well, I mean, like the whole premise of our podcast, like the thing we always said we wanted to do is cover the things that are fucked up that people do. Yeah. Sports wise, you know, like we always wanted to be really assertive, and like if someone did something grimy, we were gonna call them out on it and the way they act. But I think the thing that bothers me the most in the Warhammer community or in the tournament community is that like everyone is taking it so fucking serious. And that it irks the shit out of me that I'm not going to do this, or I don't think people should be doing this if they're going to stress out about it. Like it's no longer a hobby when it makes you upset or when it means that much to you. Like if you're so invalidated in your day-to-day life that you should go to therapy, not go to tournaments.
Yeah,
like
if
It's also cheaper to get therapy than it is to pay for Warhammer.
so that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are therapists out there that are really concerned that Warhammer's undercutting them because they're like, fuck, all these guys with inferiority complexes, they're going and playing fucking Warhammer, they're not coming here.
So I know one psychologist out there that's really upset about Warhammer because
But that's your wife.
because she's like, yo, he's up, like right now she's downstairs with her friend and my baby, and like I'm up here just fucking hanging out with you guys.
War baby. Yeah, well, good,
Yeah.
good, necessary. But look, that is just about it. Because obviously we need to go back to the future to the live show. And you guys obviously have lives. I mean, it's the day off, so you should probably spend it enjoying yourselves. But I do always obviously end with a ridiculous question.
Hell yeah.
Are you ready for a ridiculous question?
That was not that ridiculous a question. That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that was it, right? Good. Okay.
Thanks for coming on, folks.
Yeah, right, and we're done. Rage of
Find
Sigmar
us on
podcast,
iTunes
Honest
or
Wargamer.
Spotify.
Yeah, beautiful.
Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts, just Google Podcasts. Find one you like. Hopefully it's Rage of Sigmar. Okay, so this is the question. And I'll float it to you and to those in the chat. Once we come back to the future, I'll check in and see what you think. So it's about karaoke. Now when it comes to karaoke, right? You know how when you see it, there's people who get up there and they take it really seriously. You know, they're really into it. There's people who are probably like wanted to be singers, and this is as close as they ever got to pro, so they just want the applause. And then people are like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. And they're like, oh no, I'm not even professional. But then you've got the people who take it really seriously, and largely my experience has been that these are like either like college students or parents, or the third variety, truckers singing Mustang Sally. That is the third kind. I worked traveling all over Australia for about 8 years, and I went to so many middle of nowhere pubs that had a karaoke night, and I shit you not, I never went a karaoke night all over Australia, the entire fucking country, without a trucker butchering Mustang Sally with all of the force and enthusiasm they could muster. So the question is this: in all of the mortal realms, who is the most enthusiastic at karaoke? Like not the most serious, not the best, the most enthusiastic. The one who's might not even have a good voice, but gets up there, they're like, this is my fucking song. This is the song I do. If they hear someone else do it, they're like, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. Because this is my song. We're going to listen to it twice and mine will be better. Who is the most enthusiastic at karaoke? Gentlemen, who would like to take the first shot?
Joe, you got one?
I want you to go first.
Okay. And again, in the vein of enthusiasm, if you have the same answer, just give the same answer, but better.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's the Troggoth princess. She gives no fucks about what is going on. She's out there to have a good time. She's letting it all hang out because she's gonna catch a dick. If she has to ensnare it and throw it in the bag and take it home, she's gonna get it. So she's gonna go up there, and I think.
What's her song?
I think her song would be like I was sort of leaning Britney, but I think it would be a little bit trashier than that. So I'm gonna go Christina Aguilera, Dirty.
Oh, that I was literally about to say Christina Aguilera, Dirty. Literally was about to say that. Fuck.
That's good.
Yeah, and also I like that she probably went out in a full outfit, but by the time she hits the karaoke stage, she's just like just the fishnet. You know, like it's rude. She's had a rough night. So the Troggoth princess, Christina Aguilera, Dirty. Yep. Yeah, I love it. I can see it. And okay, wait, but the last question: do you reckon she's good or she's not good?
I think she's awful.
But she thinks she's good. That's all that matters.
Right.
That's it. All right. Oh, what do you?
I would go with the Ale Guggler Gargant because anyone doing karaoke is hammered out of their face. Now, on an earlier episode of Games of Rage of Sigmar, I had mentioned that the Ale Guzzler Gargant looks a lot like G.G. Allen. So for those who don't know who G.G. Allen is, he was like a crust punk, legend from like the early 90s, late 80s,
Yeah.
who did like a ton of heroin and like used to like shit in his hand on stage and like smash it in people's faces and like assault people and like do all this horrible shit. So anyway, this motherfucker OD'd on heroin and died, and no one knew. So they're like posing with his corpse and shit. Like those
I
pictures
did not
of
know
him.
that.
Yeah, you got to look into, fall down that rabbit hole. GG Allen's
As soon as
death.
we finish here, I'm going to.
Yeah, watch the video from his wake. They're like pouring Jim Beam in his mouth, and he's like, they didn't embalm him. He's like got blood and shit all over his corpse, and he's like dead in his casket and like shoving heroin in his mouth.
Good,
It's awful.
good. So
He's like the worst. Totally went out the way he came in. Like,
so the Ale Guzzler Gargan.
But no, he's hammered out of his mind, and he's singing Ace of Spades by Motorhead. Just like doing a full Lemmy impersonation. Yeah, like that.
But also,
Perfect.
I imagine with the microphone as well, isn't always singing into it. You know, like it's like singing,
No, he
singing,
doesn't
and then
really
it's
get
like
microphones.
turns to the left, and it's like. Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't know any of the words except the Ace of Spades.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of
So
those
he's
people that
just
gets up for
mumbling.
karaoke only knowing the chorus.
And not reading the thing because he probably can't read.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, my pick would be Manfred von Carstein, because he's obviously got a lot of daddy issues. He's got a lot of intense stuff, and he definitely picks something like just some really fucking intense.
It's Rammstein.
Like,
dude.
yeah, I was
It's
thinking
Du Hast.
Rammstein or Slipknot or something, and he gets up there like really, and he's probably sitting by himself as well.
No,
and then it's Manfred. And
it's greetings from it's like from the Black Parade. He's like doing My Chemical Romance. Just so angsty.
It's Panic at the Disco. Panic at the Disco.
Panic! Exclamation point at the disco.
Yeah, that's
Panic
it.
at the disco.
He gets up,
Oh, man.
and he's like really small, and then he doesn't actually move. He just screams into the microphone the whole time, and then sits down, and everyone's like,
Him, like he gets on stage, and then Robert Smith gets on stage, and everyone's like, it's the same guy again because they're like just both so gal.
just one after the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But wait, I gotta tell you this story real quick.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the My Way killings?
No. Do I want to?
So, yeah, this is a crazy phenomenon that happened in like the Philippines. That like at least like 12 people, I think it is, were murdered immediately after singing My Way by Frank Sinatra at karaoke.
No.
Yeah,
Jesus.
but like across like a long period of time. It's like a crazy phenomenon. Look it up. It's fucking like insane. So all these people were immediately shot and murdered after singing My Way at karaoke. It's like
so
they can make a
never
really
sing
dope
it.
horror movie about it. It's like The Ring, but a song you sing. Like
So if you're in the Philippines,
Sing.
just avoid Sinatra. Just for
it's
safety.
fucking crazy, dude. Look it up. The My Way
The
killings.
My Way.
It's
Okay, there we go.
nuts.
Everyone, do your research and learn why My Way is just the song of death.
So we got two rabbit holes for the
There
fans.
we
We
go.
got one, Gigi Allen's funeral.
Gigi Allen, and
for the
that
real-
it's going to put us in a really horrifying place.
That's for the really depraved people,
Mm.
and then for your regularly depraved people, you can just look up the My Way.
We do accept all comers.
If you say depraved one more time, you're gonna summon probably like 40 demonettes. So I need you to calm down.
depraved points.
Yeah. How many do you want? How many thousand extra points would you like this game? But yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen. Obviously, people can hunt you down on Twitter, which is scrolling around down the bottom there. They'll be able to find you. Rage of Sigmar podcast as well. Any other shameless plugs you want to throw out there?
I need some, but I haven't saved up yet.
Oh, fair. Yeah, they're expensive. There's a bloke in Australia, Bert Newton. He makes them look real good. But yeah, anything from you, Joe?
Anything that I want to plug? Yeah, I just want to say shout out to Jared Nyman. He's one of the homies. He's gonna be a content creator soon, but he won Best Sports at Nova.
Yeah.
So he's a good
Wait,
guy.
do you want to plug your new show with him? You guys are gonna do a segment.
We're gonna have a segment. It's called Between Two Urns. It's where me and Jared are going to bamboozle and hijack other content creators without them knowing by inviting them onto certain shows, and then we're just gonna be there in corpse paint and have the most awkward interview ever with them.
Best
So-
ever. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're just
we
gonna.
want to talk to
we're
you
gonna
about
just
this, and then nothing of it.
Yeah, we're gonna just be like, they're gonna be like, hey, you want to come on the show? We're gonna do like a really in-depth interview, and they get there, and be like, yes. So, like Ben Johnson would be a good person to have. Be like, so, did you totally break feck just so you could win one tournament, or is that just a small dick issue you got going on there, bud?
It reminds me of the SNL sketch where it's like, hey, do you remember that time you guys played that one venue? Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, okay, so if you want to see, if you want to hear more Rage is Sigma podcast. Also, if you want to hear stuff about good tournament etiquette, the old Slanesh master himself is going to be joining you guys on that. If you want to see people put in really awkward and uncomfortable situations, you will also be able to find that. But thank you very much, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thanks, man.
Cheers. And now
Thank you.
We're going to go back to Dan in the future. Welcome back to the future. Now, you may be wondering why I look like this. And the answer is that past Dan wasn't strong enough to beat Slanesh. Now, the secret, obviously, to beating Slanesh is to getting around those depravity points that they love so very, very much. And unfortunately, the truth is that I was just too human. I had too many feelings. I felt too much. And so the only way to beat Slanesh properly, that I do have to let you all in on right now, is to completely eliminate your humanity from the equation and by cutting out a good chunk of yourself. So anyone who is interested in getting Slanesh off the top of the leaderboards, this is the only way to do it. Looking back on what we had to go through to figure that out, it takes a long time. It's going to take you a long time. So if you do see past Dan, please pass on to him that the past is a dark place. It's a dark place before you realize that the answer is cyborgs. The only way to beat them is unfortunately to take away the one thing that they get joy from, and that is to cut out a big, big chunk of your fucking face. This is mostly just because of that. There was a little problem with the surgery. They went a little bit overboard, and that's what's necessary. So if you are looking to beat Slanesh, just go and talk to the Slanesh player, and either have absolutely no humanity, or flip side, don't run any models with more than one wound. Don't know how you're going to get around that on the leader side of things, but you never know. You might find something, and if you do, power to you, because to be honest, nothing is as terrifying as the Slanesh dominance that I remember from 2019. That was horrifying. It was a scary world that you all lived in. And so from the future, I would like to say that it does get better at the cost of a good chunk of your humanity. Now, the other thing that we need to talk about, the other thing that we need to deal with, is the scandal that I researched. This is going back on 20 years now, because here in 2040 this is old news, but back a good 20 years ago, I researched a bit of a scandal that was involving the new death that were coming out, the Ossifasafasafa Bone Reapers. Now, I did a lot of research on that, and I recently just broke back into the old apartment that I used to live in before the Slanesh Wars, and I found the evidence, is what I did. And so I figure I bring it to you because I think that you probably haven't heard about it. And now some of you may be aware of a movie from the distant, distant past that was known as the Transformers, the original movie. It was cartoon, it was animated, it was before the Michael Bay ascended to his mechanical godhood full of bois and lens flares. And basically it was a wonderful movie, and it included some fantastic characters. But then I started to think to myself, these characters look oddly suspicious, very, very fucking similar to some other ones. So I would like to float what past Dan discovered to you, for you to decide upon. So take these guys, these stabby four-armed fucks. They have four arms, they have multiple heads, and just as a thought, do they not look kinda like the fucking quintessence from this Transformer movie? Look at that and tell me they are not the same fucking thing. Look at what we're looking at right here, right now. That is something with multiple heads, multiple personalities that rotate around for the situation and pass judgment. Jesus H titty fucking. LLV commenting on my face saying I'm a superstar. Thank you. I feel that this has gotten in the way of a lot of my love life, so I am glad to hear that it's nice and well received. Budtastic, did I spend the whole segment doing that? No, it was about a 20-year process. It's a very long process. It's quite painful and very involved. But yes, they look exactly like the quintessence, and I will hear nothing about it. Rotating head, everything like that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dan, that's a one-off. There can't possibly be another one. Well, I hear you, but I want to float something else. There's another character. That floating head thing, it's got a little mate, it's got a little helper, he's got a long face, kind of equine features, lots of flappy little tentacle shit. Now, does he maybe look like something else that's coming out? Yes, he fucking does. He looks like this little tart with his long, flat, slanty head and his big stick and his whippy thing. And look at that chest, look at it, just saying, same thing, same goddamn thing. And if twice wasn't enough, I give you the Sharkticons. Look at those eyes, big teeth, ridiculous smiles. They've got segmented goddamn armor plates all down their back. All I am saying, scandal pending, scandal confirmed, that the Osiriarch Bone Reapers are basically just the Transformer bad guys from the original movie in the 1980s. Now, anyone who has seen that movie will probably confirm with me that they were terrifying bad guys and they were wonderful villains, but I am very disappointed to see that they are stolen here and just completely passed off and completely put into that as if they are some kind of death formation. Now, I can confirm that Gotrek is released in the very near future, and he's fantastic. Cities of Sigmar, though, you're going to be waiting at least another 6 to 8 years for. It turns out they way predicted that one a little bit too early. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, I did just want to ask, because I know Past Dan asked what people thought some of the songs were that we would have gotten. So we got Hammer Time. Yeah, fair. I see that. I'm assuming Sigmar would have been singing Hammer Time. The Nagash would be the most serious competitor. Yeah, fair. And he'd sing Don't Fear the Reaper. Yes. Manfred would sing Crawlin' by Linkin Park. Manfred would, I imagine, just always be motionless and singing really intense shit. Because that's about it. Budtastic Guy wants to know how many times has Rob had his heart restarted. A little while ago, they actually just replaced his heart with enthusiasm, like the concept of enthusiasm. They just took Rob's heart, they cut it out, and they shoved enthusiasm into it. And since then, he's been fine. Now, is Gotrek deadly? LLV wants to know if Gotrek is deadly. Gotrek is in fact deadly. However, we will all be mildly disappointed with his rules. That won't stop people buying him and completely trying to build lists around making him awesome, but then complaining that he doesn't play as good as he appears in the books and audio dramas, of which there are now 72. We are probably certain that that is the last we will have, because that's the end of it. Mr. Feather says, is the new Mortark, is it legit Mumm-Ra from He-Man? No, it's actually Skeletor in cosplay. No, Thundercats, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, no, it's cosplay Skeletor. He basically just puts on a little bit more pants and a little bit less robe and hood, and that's his shtick there. But yeah, it's important to know. Now, I will just quickly flag that there are a number of tournaments coming up in the very near future, and potentially, ladies and gentlemen, if you were thinking about going to one, there's Attack X, which comes up very soon. So if you want to get tickets, it might already be too late, but you can potentially find tickets to Attack X, which Past Dan will be at. Obviously, he won't look like this because he'll still have all that flesh because he hasn't figured out how to beat Slanesh yet. I'm going to leave him a little memo. But also, then there is another one that it shouldn't be too far away, that I believe in your time is on Vancouver Island. That one's coming up in the next month as well. So there's a couple of fun tournaments. I mean, there's stuff all over the goddamn world for you to be playing War Dollies at. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining both Past Dan, Present Dan, and now Future Dan this evening. It has been an absolute pleasure having you all. And I guess that the last thing to say is that take care of yourselves, because very soon there will be less self and a lot more robot in your face. And it's not a bad thing, but it does make us feel like maybe 40k needs a little bit more Age of Sigmar shoved in it. That'd do, right? Like just a few more fantastical things instead of grim dark. Though, to be completely honest, this is pretty fucking grimdark. And if that's what it takes to beat Slaanesh, I'm willing to do it. Anything to stop that ridiculous dominance of summoning half your fucking army back onto the table. It is not okay. It's not fair. And for whatever reason, we don't fix it. We can't. Nobody does it. We just have to carve out big chunks of our faces. So have a lovely evening. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and take care. Oh yeah, hey, you probably know this, but just in case you were wondering, they fuck up the new Terminator reboot. Like just completely. We were all really excited given that we're all pretty much half robot by now, that they'd actually do a pretty good job, but nah, they fuck it right up. It's not good. Don't bother. Pretty much after they started bringing in that Arnie clone, things started to go down. I don't think they've done that yet in your timeline, but for what it's worth, it's just not good. It's not good. Yeah, it's a real damn shame. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is just wait. Star Wars does get better again. It's when they bring back Jar Jar. But oh, sorry, spoilers. Oh, and one last just like little piece of like personal advice. The iPhone 21, Reddit comes up with a number of different ways to fuck with people, you know, every iPhone release, saying you can put it in a microwave, saying that there's a hole you can drill to find the old audio jack, a lot of stuff like that. iPhone 21, they tell you can charge it by putting the cable up your butt. Like just from a friend, it doesn't work. Not that I tested it, but it doesn't. So just don't ever put an iPhone up your butt, I guess is what I'm saying, because it doesn't work, and it takes a while to get it removed would be the thing, especially if it rotates to the side, because then it can't come out naturally no matter how much Vaseline you think might be enough. That is what my friend said.